Good evening. I call to order the Monday, November 13, 2017 legislative session of Swarthmore Borough Council. Welcome to you all. I see that all members are present, as is the mayor. The solicitor will not be with us tonight, so we'll just have to feel our way through the knotty legal issues which may present themselves during our meeting. At this time, we welcome public comment on any subject relevant to the affairs of the borough. If you wish to speak, come forward, speak directly into the microphone. Tell us your name and your street address, and we'd be happy to hear from you.
Patrick Flanagan, 239 Dickinson Avenue. I'm here to repeat my request of last week at the work session. Request that the council grant a waiver for the property that my wife and I own at 1315. So that may actually be two waivers, South Chester Road. And I'm here to answer any questions if anyone has them.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Flanagan?
I don't think I was aware that he was asking for that. It was just if you grant it, then please consider others going forward. Maybe that's a distinction without a difference, but I don't think we were being asked to make that decision at this time. Maybe we are. Sounds like we are.
If I may, I explicitly made that request in the letter, and it was the Borough Council President at the meeting that my request was specifically for our property.
Yes, that's my understanding. That was my understanding. It is my understanding.
It's not on the agenda.
No, the resolution includes both requests.
Okay.
So it is actually on the agenda, and it's one folio number, so I believe that's all that's needed. The co-op is one folio as well. Both of those are cited in the resolution.
Any other questions for Mr. Flanagan? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else wish to talk with us this evening during the public comment session? Seeing no, oh, yes, well, if you're either coming, Mr. Lee, or you're not. Just changing your position? Where are you okay,
Head fake.
okay, thank you very much. Then we'll turn to the agenda. We have before us for consideration this evening the minutes of our meetings of October 10, 2017 and November 6, 2017. Is there a motion to approve those minutes as circulated?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion about them? All those in favor of approving the minutes as circulated say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? They're approved as circulated. We have before us a proposed resolution 2017-15. Well, it's not yet proposed. We have a text of a resolution 2017-15 lifting deed restriction relating to sale of alcohol for two properties in the Biddle tract. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion about it?
I would just say I made the motion in that it seems out of step for where the town's current opinion lies based on the last referendum election.
What seems out of step?
The run with the land.
The deed
Yeah,
restriction.
yeah. So, and I'm not saying we should
Yeah.
promote it,
No.
but at least for our parcels, I don't feel like we should object to it.
Okay. Any other discussion? I will oppose it because I, as a matter of personal choice, cannot facilitate any proposal that promotes the sale of alcoholic beverages. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2017-15 as distributed to us, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition other than chair votes opposed? Any other opposition? It is approved. Thank you.
David, you might want to note for Mr. Flanagan that his property is included in that resolution.
Well, I think he already got that from Jane. Your properties are included in the resolution as adopted. Now, you would have to submit to council, as the co-op has, a proposed release, a document sort of carrying this forth. And the co-op itself will have to provide with a different document for execution that incorporates the caveat that is present in the resolution. And so, I know you remember the bar, Mr. Flanagan, you already have a form that you can use, which is that somebody prepared on behalf of the co-op if you want to, but even that one will require amendment to incorporate the proposal originating with Mr. Schmuck.
David, would it be worth recapping that we're simply releasing ourselves from it. We're not necessarily.
Okay,
That's what I would say.
we're just taking the position that this council would not seek to enforce the deed restriction that exists in the title to the co-op's property and the Flanagan property.
There's a road to hoe.
Yes. What follows from that in terms of whether liquor under any kind of a license ultimately results in being served in either of those places, we have nothing to do with that. Except to the extent that under the rules of the Liquor Control Board, it may be possible for the community, once it's publicized, I'm way out of my depth here, but it might be possible that there is an application for a liquor license to reside at either of those places. For all I know, if somebody has to post something in the window and somebody has a position about it, they can take their position to the Liquor Control Board. I have no idea whether any of that is true. But tonight, all we are doing is say that this council and the borough in future will not seek to enforce that provision in the deeds to those two properties.
Thank you. Thank you for reaffirming.
Okay. Now we have, for consideration this evening, Ordinance 1080 regulating door-to-door soliciting and canvassing in Swarthmore, which was discussed at last week's meeting. Is there a motion to approve that ordinance as provided to us?
So moved.
Thank you, Mary. Second?
Second.
Lauren, second. Is there any discussion about that ordinance in its present form? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting ordinance 1080, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? It's adopted. Thank you. For the Environment Committee, Lauren.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee.
Yes, thank you, David. We'll start with the financial report for October 2017. Not much to add to it. Just would highlight again that last year's revenue was particularly strong, really driven by two things that are difficult to budget for, which are real estate transfer taxes and building permits. They were quite strong last year. That's why it was above 100% this time last year. As far as this year is concerned, it's basically running on as expected. And as we discussed last meeting, still targeting $510,000 as the year-end balance, assuming nothing dramatic happens in the last 2 months, which the last 2 months are basically expenses and very little revenue. But that's still the expected number, which is again, we target 5 to 10% of the fund balance as it relates to the total revenue. So that's at the high end of that. So that's a good sign. Any questions in terms of the financial report for October or year to date?
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, I'd like to make a motion to approve wire transfers for October 2017, totaling $2,372.42. Hopefully people have had a chance to review that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Schmuggy seconds. Any question or discussion about that item? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those wire transfers, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Opposed? Those transactions are approved.
Okay. Moving on, hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at the invoices for the month. And I'd like to make a motion to approve invoices totaling $345,548.79 for the month of October.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mary seconds. Any discussion, any question about any item on the list? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving payment of those items, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Payment is approved.
Okay, moving on now to the adoption and authorization to advertise the proposed 2018 budget. I guess before I make a motion to approve that, I'd just like to draw everyone's attention. Hopefully they got a chance to look at the proposed budget that Jane put together for after the discussion last week. And essentially what's in this new budget are all the things that we talked about, which is the potential increases for the different community services that we support, including the public library, the fire department, et cetera. And that took what was a surplus, the term James is not familiar with, to now a deficit of $11,000. So I think in all essence it's balanced. I think when we put 11,000 in the revenue side from last year, or prior year's revenue, so that's really it. Everything else has remained the same. We just made those adjustments to the things that we recommended. So I'm happy to take any questions as it relates to that before I make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the proposed budget.
Is that your motion?
Well, I'm asking if there's any questions
Oh,
first.
no, just,
Okay.
I'm just.
I'm hearing none, so I'll
No, I'm a stickler for procedure. Thank you,
Sorry.
Motion and discussion.
Motion and discussion. Okay, sorry. Okay, I would like to make a motion for the adoption and authorization to advertise the proposed 2018 budget as presented in front of you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now, are there any questions or discussion about the budget in its present form and the form in which it will be publicized?
Michael, I will ask one question. I think
Yeah.
most of the budgetary issues where we've had increases have been minor, but I'm also aware that we've had kind of an influx on the building permit side. Do you think after that college building boom subsides, have we done any kind of long-term stuff to this budget?
Well, no, we haven't. I mean, I think that's.
I think so. I was just curious.
Yeah.
But I could backtrack, the building permit budget has never really been increased to
No, it's
account
not.
for that.
Correct.
So it's still kind of at a low level, which is why it was over last year and the year before. This year, you're probably going to see it closer to the actual amount, because there was only one big one big building permit, which actually hasn't even been received yet. So I think the answer is not to worry, because
It's really floated.
plan.
Well, it's really floated on some level into the fund balance. So in other words, we're at the high end of that range. If you think about the accesses we've had, it's floated to there. I mean, obviously, things could change in the borough, but we've had some things work in our favor in terms of healthcare costs. You know, we have a new plan that's going to help. Obviously, some of the expenses that we talked about as it relates to the fire department and increased other expenses. That's helped. But then the police department stuff, some of those things have helped us. So it's kind of there's pluses and minuses. But yeah, clearly the building permits number as it relates to this year and potentially there's still more to come. And last year were higher than normal, and that we should not.
But we did not change normal, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And I guess that was really my question.
Yeah.
All the minor changes we've made to the budget have not substantially long-term impact.
No, I mean, the biggest change to this year's budget was a decrease in the size of the police department, which has been offset by various other changes. And that's all, unless the next council changes their mind, will be static. That will go back up, except for normal increases in the salary.
And it should be remembered that building permits, while they generate money, have costs associated with them. And the bigger the permit, the bigger the building, the more inspections there are that are incurred by the borough on the cost side. And those costs themselves are not necessarily separately itemized in this budget. They are what they are as they arise, and the permits substantially offset them. Okay, any further discussion about the proposed budget that will be publicized? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Publication and advertising is approved. Thank you.
That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, I neglected to say, as I usually do at the beginning, that we will have an executive session at the conclusion of our regular meeting, the regular part of our regular meeting. As you all know, though none of you ever sit around for it, that when we're done with our executive session, we always come back for the regular meeting, and then we adjourn from that. That having been said, general government.
Nothing to report, and I don't have anything to put on the schedule for this month, so we will not have a meeting this month.
Okay. And I want to go back to the budget discussion for just a minute. This is prompted by a discussion I had before the meeting. Various organizations come to us for funding to help them with their activities. Now, we tend to talk about them all at the same time. We talk about the library, we talk about SRA, but we also talk about the fire company. And I don't mean in any way to demean the library or in its contribution to the borough, nor SRA, nor town center, or others, but the fire company and fire service is in fact a vital service that the borough is expected to provide to its citizenry. And when we think about how much we provide to the fire company out of their total needs, we should have that in mind, and the community should have that in mind. Planning and zoning.
Thank you. We will not be having a meeting this month, and what we have on the agenda tonight, consideration of action relating to a request for expense variance at 238 Park Avenue. The question is whether council believes that they want someone to attend the zoning hearing and advocate for denying the variance, is really the way to put it. Do you have, is there a picture?
I think I
There
sent
was a
it.
drawing attached to
The
the...
picture that we
I
had
didn't,
talked about.
you didn't print it. I think I sent it to you, but I didn't print it.
I think we talked about distributing it now.
You had thought you were going to show it, actually. Oh, you
Oh,
want
I-
to distribute it to people?
Well, I don't have it to show.
I did
I
not,
don't
yeah.
have it
Do
to
you,
show.
did you put that picture in the file? Remember, we found it in another, the picture from the fence.
Yeah, you want me to go?
Yeah, that'd be great.
If you would,
Thanks.
we'll come back.
Thank you
We'll
very
come back. So, pending that, is there anything else in planning and zoning?
No, there isn't.
Okay, then public safety.
Right, three items. Number one, our normally scheduled committee meeting would be a week from tomorrow. That's Thanksgiving week, and we really don't have any pressing matters to discuss at this point. So I think we will not, the committee will not hold this regularly scheduled meeting on the 21st of this month. Two other items. The first is consideration of revised civil service regulations. We've discussed those several times. Mary, I think the Civil Service Commission has reviewed and approved them. Is that not right?
That's correct.
So I'm not sure what else council really has to do at this point, except, Jane, you look like you were going to say
No,
something.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I was just going to say that it was a little confusing last time, but the solicitor wanted it to sort of council to give their approval to send to the Civil Service Commission. And I did lean over and I said, do they need to actually approve them at the meeting? And he said yes. So that's why it's back on the agenda, even though
Okay.
you probably feel like you already did it.
Okay, all right. All right, so we're not doing it by resolution, but we'll have a vote. I hereby move that council approve the revised civil service regulations as approved by the Civil Service Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we're not now approving sending them to the Civil Service Commission, but the Civil
No.
Service Commission's already seen them.
Correct.
And although the copy, I don't think we've ever had a copy that was dated or that has a version number or whatever, but I think what we're approving tonight
Yeah.
is the version that was reviewed by council at its meeting of October 10th.
That's correct. That is correct, David, yes.
Okay?
Yes, that is the version.
Okay, all those in favor of approving those, the motion to approve those civil service rules and regulations, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Opposed? They're approved.
Second item I have on the agenda is resolution number 2017-16 concerning the sale of a police car. I believe, Jane, did you circulate a
Yeah.
copy of this? Everyone's got a copy of it?
I did you circulate it to everybody? I prepared it today.
Yeah,
So
I got
it's very brief. We're talking about a 2012 Dodge Charger. And the resolution would authorize the borough to convey said Dodge Charger to Nathan Wolf, 1590 Montgomery Road, Allison Park, Pennsylvania, for the price of $4,000 $800, and of course that transfer would be in short as is, without any warranties, guarantees, etc. I move the council adopt resolution number 2017-16.
Is there a second?
Second.
I take it this is a different car that the guy was coming the whole way from Connecticut.
Same car.
He didn't come.
We did not have the title at that time.
And so so this is a different buyer,
Yes.
unless he moved to opposite park.
Still really wants
Who wants to be the second on that?
I'll say.
Mr. Murphy.
Well,
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 it's
it's
second.
Lauren and Meg, she's asking between the two. Give it to Lauren.
Yeah, it's on, got it. And who did I'm sorry, I was talking to Elise. Who was the second on the civil service regulations?
I was.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you with us now, Jim?
I am. It's hard, I'm multitasking here.
Well, no, you're no tasking.
Oh.
Just
I've been
sorry.
like this all day.
That's our TV land, I withdraw that comment. Okay,
So we have to vote.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, any nays? The sale of said Dodge Charger is approved.
That's all I have, David.
Thank you very much. Back to planning and zoning.
Do we have a picture? Okay, so picture or no, I think the question can be debated and answered whether or not council wants to take a position on this fence variance request.
Do you have a recommendation as chair of your committee? And as to whether council itself should take a position or ask you to go and express an opinion at the zoning hearing board hearing?
As a general matter, I'm not fond of council taking a position because I feel like it usurps the role of the zoning hearing board unless it's some exceptional circumstance, which I thought the co-op sign was, but that's me, that's my
Well,
recommendation.
that's what
Is
I
there a
asked.
picture of the
Thank
fence?
you. Oh,
Thank you, Liz.
David, can I comment as a follow-up? to
Yeah,
that?
that's- If there's not going to be a motion, I can't wait for a motion to have a discussion, so let's have a discussion as to whether there should be a motion.
Yes, my understanding was what Mary said, but normally we don't express an opinion and we let them do their job, and then we react to how they rule. So that was kind of my understanding how it works.
Okay. My position is I hope that the zoning hearing board, with respect to this and most any other issue that comes before them, starts from the premise that the zoning ordinance represents the considered public policy of the borough on whatever the subject, be it signs, be it fences or whatever, and that's the point from which they depart. That having been said, I'm perfectly happy with your recommendation, whether you go or not to hear it.
I always go.
Okay,
I go
but
everywhere.
I don't sense anybody here is urging the council have you go and express a position with respect to this fence one way or the other.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have the sense
Yes.
of the
Yes.
meeting?
I think that's right.
Okay. Okay, next is Public Works, Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, David. I don't have any new news since last week's meeting, but I do have two items. Jay, do we want to vote on the gazebo?
We do.
So I'd like to, it's not a motion necessarily, but I'd like to put to a vote that we spend money to repair the gazebo roof.
No, that's a motion.
I'd like to move that we repair the gazebo roof in Little Concrete. Jane sent around the estimates. The one we chose was the metal roof. We discussed it last week. I don't know if there's any issues, but I make that motion.
Is there a second? For clarification, the proposal has both a scope of work for $6,750, but it has options. One, to close the opening at the top of the gazebo, $350, and then install a metal soffit underneath roof for $1,950. Does your motion include both the total proposal and the options?
I'm going to include both just so we have it approved, but I'm 95% certain that we are not looking for either option.
Okay.
But I don't want to come back and do this in a month.
No, that's fine.
for another 2 grand.
And I assume the council is prepared to defer to the Public Works Committee whether or not to accept the option.
I hope so.
Yes.
After 4 years.
Absolutely. That's perhaps your parting shot is approving those options. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? The total work is approved. How much work is actually contracted for, we leave in the hands of the Public Works, Parks, and Recreation Committee. Thank you.
Which is Jane and Cuzzy, certainly.
No.
Yeah, we defer.
I'll take responsibility.
Yeah, we defer to you and members of the EAC.
I appreciate it. I also have I'm going to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2017-14 in support of circuit trails. A memo was passed by email to this group, but just for the public's sake, it's a whole group of trails within the Philadelphia region, and there is a motion to put 500 miles of trails by 2025. I believe there aren't any current trails or planned trails running through our town, but I think it's a good thing to gather momentum for this effort.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
I noticed that in the the sixth whereas,
Many whereases.
by the sixth whereas, the word "in" is in bold, and I have no idea why that is, but I don't think it's intended to be significant.
I don't think it applies to our inn by any chance.
No, it's a small I-in.
That's very funny.
Just, having spent 50 years as a lawyer proofreading documents, when you see a bold "in" sticking right there in the middle of a whereas, you just wonder how that happened. But that having been said, all those in favor of this resolution 2017-14, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? It is approved.
The only other two small items I have, unless Jane had anything, was we added recycling cans to the parks. It's been studied and proven that people recycle if you put recycling in your trash cans. And we kind of had them there sporadically, but now there should be near all the trash cans in all the parks. And for all those, we are on the cusp of the high season of leaf raking. So please take your leaves to the curb, but not into the street, for a variety of reasons, but certainly for stormwater management, parking, etc. Your grass will be fine.
Okay. Anything else? I note that on Yale Avenue, two different places, the borough engineer has marked out the places where the speed cushions will be. And there is, in fact, a little power shovel very near one of them, waiting for something. The borough manager seemed, looked at me quizzically.
I know right.
Take my word for it. You apparently have.
It's a power shovel.
It's a little. If it were powered by steam, it would be called a steam shovel.
Small back.
It's not ours.
No.
Not ours.
It's not?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
We don't know, no. We're not,
Well, you wouldn't be doing the work to make the speed bump.
no, that work has to be, no.
Okay, fine. Well, then, who knows what little power shovel it is?
I don't know whose little
So
power.
it's
Mike
like something out
Mulligan
of-
is, I don't know.
Something out of Thomas the Engine, I don't know. But in any event, that having been said, there are lines painted on the street where the speed cushions will be, in case you're interested. Who, has a contract been let, what contractor is going to do that work when it is finally done?
The contract has not been let, it was
Okay.
not included as part of our street paving. The engineer marked them out, as you noted last week, which has been helpful, as they've been watching to make sure that larger vehicles can straddle them, which they can, such as a fire truck. But if you sit and watch, you'll see that a car and even a regular sized truck has to go over at least one part of the hump. The concerning part is that in between the two humps, the road is not in great shape, and PICO has not filled in the trench that they put in for their gas work. They said that they're done, the gas line is fine. So I'm speaking with the borough engineer. We will probably wait and bid that project, and the project is in the early spring, and that will be the two speed humps, and we will pave the area in between. The whole street doesn't need to be paved. It just happens that that section in between there is in bad shape. And if we don't pave it now, we're going to end up tearing up the new speed humps when we do it. So no, the contract has not been let, and it will be, if we choose to, it can be part of our big contract next year, or we can do it on our own.
Okay. Well, some years from now, when I'm back visiting Swarthmore,
You can, right.
I might see if those
You want it
speed
before or
bridges
after
have
you-
been installed. I shouldn't live so long, but that, okay. Mayor, Tim.
Thank you, David. We had an election on Tuesday.
So we did.
And there were no reported irregularities in voting in Swarthmore, which is always a good thing. Lauren and Michael were reelected to come back on council, so we're very happy about that. And we'll be happy to welcome Sarah, who's in the audience today, and Betsy, who join us on council. Someone noted that those can be a shift in council in terms of both the male, female, and the average age. After
But just one shift would be
after the 2
sufficient.
days. But I would also like to offer my hearty congratulations to our colleague, Mary Walk, who was successful in her election. Register of wills and long time coming in our county, but we're so pleased that Mary won.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you all.
Anything else?
That's it.
I think in future years, they're going to look back to the day that the Register of Wills office became the power center in Dover. We will have been president of
You
creation.
know when.
Yes, okay.
And David, we should note that Mary was the top vote getter of all
Yeah.
candidates in that race.
Well, I can't vote.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Ross.
Right.
Thank you.
Borough manager.
I have two very brief things. One is we did send the bid out again for removal of street trees. Once again, despite our best efforts, we only got one bid from Knight Brothers. Prices are the same for, I think, the third or at least 3 years in a row, maybe 4 years in a row. And we have no complaints with this work, so I would recommend approving that contract.
Okay. So we're going to do that this evening?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the bid of Knight Brothers as it has been, we've had it before us? Mr. Murphy moves, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Carey seconds, any discussion? All those in favor of awarding the contract to Knight Brothers for the 2018 street tree removal, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, opposed, it's approved.
And my second item is, thank you, my second item is, in the discussion last week, Mr. Murphy mentioned the new pickup truck that is needed by the Public Works Department that has been included in the capital budget. And I'd like authorization for him to go ahead and put that order in. The truck, somebody rode in it recently and noticed that it's just terrifying to ride in the truck. So,
You mean somebody here?
yeah, I thought somebody here rode in the truck.
But not to give you the details, apparently the bed is so, like they have frame rust where when he comes to a stop, the bed
Hits, yeah.
Picky.
Yeah, so I would like, I mean, it's a bit of a risk because the budget can be reopened, but the budget is advertised, does include the truck. Takes about 3 months because it does have some special equipment on it. So if council wouldn't mind, I would like to tell Cuzzy that he can go ahead and order that truck.
So is there a motion to approve the purchase of a new truck at an amount not to exceed
It's about $45,000.
45.
Yeah.
$45,000?
Which is included in the budget.
All those that say approve it, say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks.
Okay.
Do we want a second on that or just?
Yes, Mr. Carey seconded.
All right.
Or some, yeah.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Any other business not already dealt with in the regular business of the council? Anything else? So we will now adjourn into executive session. Thank you all for coming tonight.